Cast Their Crowns Inc. Always so glad to say another beautiful sunny day. The sun is just illustrious right now. Works wonders on that beautiful brown skin. Protection. You know, gotten into before about protection and are men actually protecting their women, and are they not, based off of certain conversations in certain circles. Protection is something that really has to function in more than one way, because yes, a man most certainly should protect his wife. A man most certainly should protect his children, especially from enemies. If you saw the movie The Purge, the first one, they did everything to ensure that communities were protected while the town went through the purge, while the country went through the purge. The father sold security systems. They made sure they was armed to the teeth and everything. But his daughter allowed somebody to come in without the father's knowledge, without the father's consent, without the father okaying that. And that person who his daughter allowed to get in the house eventually led to the dismantling of that house by losing the father. And there was a lesson to be learned by that. You know, a man can protect the household, most certainly. He can, that's his duty. However, if a member of that household allows somebody to come in through craftiness, and that person is an enemy, well, that protection at that point is obsolete, because this protector is now fighting against that enemy who they're automatically going to perceive as the enemy, but now they have a double agent, which is the family member or the loved one within the household that allowed the enemy to come in for whatever reason. Benefits, they spoke to them in a very soft way to get them to let down their guard, or they convinced them that their protector was really out to do them harm. You know, it happens. So a man's duty, of course, is to protect his family, you know, and there's tiers to that. A man may protect his family like John Wick. All right. He may teach his sons to be like SEAL Team 6. So he protects the household. His sons protect the members of the household in case that line of defense gets breached, or the support, or in case there's an evacuation. You should go through series of tests with your family. You should go through drills with your family. You should bring your family up to speed to know how to respond in the time of danger, because you don't want fear to override judgment. And many people allow fear to override judgment, and they make careless decisions. They make decisions that they think are going to be long-term for a situation that may last but for a moment. And you never want to do that. You never want to make a long-term or a final decision for something that could last a moment because you lost patience or you were faithless going into that particular situation. Do women, mothers, wives, do they protect families? Absolutely. And they even protect their husbands. One thing most certainly for sure is that they should be protecting their husbands against women with negative agendas. Women who may try to seduce their husband for whatever reason. Women who may try to seduce that wife to get them to think certain things about their husband, or try to bring certain things up in a inquisitive manner, as if they're concerned. You're concerned about someone's marriage, but you never speak to the couple. That's somebody who automatically, all sorts of bells and whistles should go off. These are individuals that are only looking to destroy, to seek and destroy. So women can most certainly protect their man from these situations by canceling it immediately. And we know of them. We know of them. If a husband comes home, he's with his wife is on the phone, she may tell a friend, all right, she's going to get off the phone. Some people may just say they're getting off the phone, but the wife may say she's getting off the phone because her husband is home. And the friend may say, damn, girl, he got you like that? Trying to throw a little bit of, souring in the well, poison the well a little bit. And then next time, damn, girl, we was talking, we just got on the phone for 5 minutes. I mean, damn, did he even put his bag down? All sorts of stuff that people say. And it's that wife's obligation at that point to defend the sanctity of her home and to defend the sanctity of her union, of her relationship. Not to give into it and not to feel like, oh, I can't say anything because that's my friend. No, that needs to be addressed, right? Sometimes you're out in the world with your family and there's all sorts of rude people out here, impolite people who are ignorant, people who do foolish things, people who are obnoxious, right? And it may be a woman, and because it's a woman, that husband may not want to address the situation not because it's not the right thing to do, but because of the way of how he may be perceived. So it's in the family's best interest that the wife, the mother, addresses the situation. That's called wisdom. That's called gauging the situation out and seeing what's the best approach to the matter and how to handle it tactically, right? It could be a guy, but many times, majority of the times, couples don't really find themselves in too much trouble from someone else. People generally respect a couple when they see them together. People generally respect a husband and wife when they see them out on the town or whatever it is that they're doing. People generally respect them and leave them be. Even the most foul, flagrant man will respect a man and his woman when they're together. And that's why there's so much power in that relationship. And that's the reason why the devil hates it. And he will do anything in his power, and he will work through any man, woman, child, agent to try somehow, some way to disrupt and to destroy that. Because just think about how that wife is functioning and operating with the understanding that she belongs to something. Think about the level of pride of what she has and knowing what it is that she's a part of and how much value she brings to that relationship and how she'll look at herself. She won't be deceived by what ignorant women do. She won't be misled to think that's what speaks to a goods woman's voice. She'll know that she speaks for a goods woman. She'll know that she represents something that is sanctimonious and something that is upstanding and something that's supposed to be looked highly upon. And if those stories were told more, then you'd have much, much less of the pride and the arrogancy out of foul-mouthed people. People who don't want anybody else to do well. They just want to shock and they just want to tear down anything that's of any form of moral standing, because that moral standing is adverse to them, right? You can't be a clown in a space where everybody there is mourning. You'll stick out like a sore thumb. People will attack you for that. Imagine a clown showing up at a funeral. They'll be beaten, right? Unconsciously, because it's not appropriate. It's not right. So if you can get the crowd that was once serious and the people who were once serious about particular topics and matters to lower down their guard and let the wall down, then you'll start to have more clowns around. And people who are there for entertainment purposes, but not actual value, not actual substance, but there to benefit, and there's not enough nutrition, right? It's just more junk food that's being provided to the people. And if you live a life where your diet is nothing but junk food, you're going to be unhealthy. So if there's a community where everything that's being provided and what the community is eating off of is just junk, it may look good, but there's no substance, there's no nourishment, right? There's no healing qualities or agents to it, then you're going to have illness, you're going to have sickness. And that's what many communities reflect today. Many communities today reflect illness and sickness, but the ones who want the communities to be sick, because if you're sick, then you're no threat to me, right? So I can continue with what it is that I'm doing, with what my agenda is, because you're not prepared to do anything. You need help. So if you need help, how can you lead? If you require aid at this time, how can you function properly? You're now going to be dependent on something else or someone else. So guess what? They're going to provide that thing that you have a dependency for. So now you're going to remain in a particular area that you can't grow out of, because you're not going to be healed from your sickness or your illness. It's going to be treated. Treated means it's going to be continual, because I can't allow you to get off of that illness, because if your mind is healthy, if your mental health is healthy, if your spirit is healthy and you're clean, then you'll recognize all the dirt that I'm doing as your enemy. So it's in my best interest as your enemy to keep you dependent on something and to keep you sick. And that's what we have, right? Metaphorically, that's what we have. That's what we have. Too many of our households are sick, ill, terminal illness. Physically, of course, we have that, but, in an abstract way, that's there. In a symbolic way, that's there. We don't know the right course of action on how to respond to the ups and downs of life. We look to someone else for answers or for support, but that answer and that support means you're giving up certain rights. You're volunteering your rights away if you get that help. It's not genuine and sincere help in the time of need where, no, I'm only here to support you and then I'm going about my business. No, it's if you want my help, then here's my cut. Like what the mob does, or what they say, allegedly, And that's called extortion. So that happens far too often. So that's why when those initiatives and agendas are in place, it's in the best interest to break down a household, to break down a family, to root the father out, which that's been from the beginning, right? When oppression and violence towards families was at an all-time high in this country, you had to get the man out of the household. You had to beat down that image of that man. You had to show what it is, what's the end result of a strong man, a strong black man. The end result of him is death. So what is a mother going to do? She has to protect her children, right? I have to protect my babies. So I'm not going to raise them to be like their father, because look how their daddy ended up. So I'm going to raise them to be pacified. I'll raise them to be weak. And that's a strategy. That was a tactic, right? That's not intentional. It's thinking this is what I need to do in order for my children to survive. But that's, again, when we don't have a connection to our history, when we don't stand properly on our faith, when we don't realize that this is temporary, this is not forever, this is temporary. We were certain ways before this oppression, before this violence, before this adversary. We actually conducted business. We actually responded to threats in a particular manner. We actually fought back instead of looking to, well, where can I sign? What deal can I? I'll just accept anything. It's better for us. Whoever were the people who said, I'm going to believe my enemy that's going to tell me that they'll stop hating me as long as I live the way they tell me to live. What people ever believe that? How could you even possibly think that your enemy is going to give you sound advice? After they blew you up, after they burned you down, after they got every form of agency in your life to just wreak havoc, after they've dismantled whatever it is that you've been teaching your children, after they've torn all that down, they'll turn around with a soft voice at the end of it all and say, hey, we just want what's best for you. We just want what's best for them. Think about the children. Right? That's what an enemy does. And if you're gullible enough, you'll forget about all of the torment and the torture that they put you through. The eradication of what was strong and necessary for you. The pieces and the components to your life that was so necessary for you to make it, for you to add to, and for that to add to you, so the two of you can move on ahead. But what do we do and believe in the devil to begin with? That's the ultimate enemy. And there's not a shortage of people who are willing to do his will and his bidding to seek and destroy. So why would we believe him? Who's ever benefited from believing him? What people have ever made it through tough times by just signing that deal? Right? I mean, this is stuff that people know. A signature under duress can't even be held up in court. You can argue against that. You can fight against that. Say, no, I was under duress. I didn't want to sign that, but I was threatened. So, why are we signing our life away, or the life of our children away, or the liberty of our loved ones away under duress? Where's the honor and the integrity at? If more people actually stood up against something and wouldn't allow it in, then they'll eventually be exposed. So this is how we protect each other. This is why dysfunction has to be at an all-time high. This is why people look back on their previous generations with such disdainment. My grandmother, this happened to her, and my grandfather was of this and was of that. You speaking ill against your grandfather and your grandmother, and look at you right now. Look at you right now. Should you be speaking ill against anyone? And you speaking against your own. Again, when you speak against your own, you speak against yourself. So we have to protect each other. We have to fight for each other. We have to identify who the threat is and recognize, when did we start feeling this way? What changed? What happened? Who's new? What did we start doing differently? Think about that. Look back. Do the due diligence. Casted Crowns, Inc.